The biggest preseason risers and fallers, and a sneak peek at the biggest draft moments. So that and more this week out in space with Luke Evans. To get us started, Ken is here in Taiwan, 1 hour behind Luker. Luke, let's see some receipts from the draft. What do you got, bud? You had a little hard time getting on the Google Meet there. How do we know you actually drafted?
Well, I can pull out my little version here of what I came up with.
You got the right year on there. Yeah, the background is definitely a problem, but I see some handwritten notes on there. I can verify for those listening.
There's some handwritten notes. I think we're going to talk about the draft a little bit later, but yeah, it came up with just some values for some guys going off Kenny's list and some other lists that I found online. And made sure that I had my top two guys that I wanted to go get and was able to go get. So,
love it, Luker. I'm glad to see those receipts. It's a sight for sore eyes. And just on a scheduling note, I want to apologize to the people. I've been trying to get this thing out on a weekly basis, probably aiming for Tuesdays at this point, but good old Kevin spiked to 39.5, or for those of you back home in the States, that's roughly like a 103.5 fever, and was having some of my good hallucination dreams over the last couple nights. But Taiwan's got universal health care, so show up with a little bit less than $20 in your pocket. Doc gives you once over and sends you out on your way with some cough medicine and some drugs, and I'm feeling pretty good right now. Thanks, Luker, for being flexible. Pretty sure I pushed this off, I don't even know, probably 3 days, because I've been in 14 different dimensions for the last couple days. So I appreciate you being on here. How did it feel to be back, Luker? Can't imagine the draft was like getting on a bike for you. How was that first draft?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny talked enough trash to me to have me get back on the draft. Well, actually, one of the first time in the last few years, at least, that I've been able to draft. That's why Dom came in the first place, is because drafts at 10 or 12 or 2 in the afternoon usually don't work too well for me with practice and games, things like that. But being able to draft was fun. Definitely, you got my juices going a few times in the group chat. So I had to get on there, do a few mock drafts, come up with a little strategy. Me and Dom talked a couple of times. I was going off just some YouTube videos and things I saw, and obviously things that Dom's done in the past and all his value drafting. But I decided I wanted to go get a couple guys and came up with a few other strategies that I was able to implement. And so it felt good to draft.
I love Luker, and back to your point on it not being available. I hope that I'm hopefully have been as loud of an advocate for trying to bend the start time for you, because I know that with your profession and everything, I've said it a million times, I hope you play until you're 45 or however long you want to play out there. And I get that Dom, is a draft plug-in for you in that scenario, but I was definitely hammering you pretty hard this year once I found out that you had some availability this year. And so I appreciate you manning up and getting out there in the streets. So all that said, again, that's no secret where I stand, Luker. You are the last of the lepers in the league. How do you find yourself stacking up with the competition after taking the hiatus that you've taken?
I think it's hard to tell right now. When I look at everybody's team, I get excited for certain guys that they have and wish I had these guys on my team and things like that. So I think until this first couple weeks play out, it's really hard to tell how you're actually going to stack up. With that said, I am glad that I have my two top guys of Derrick Henry and Nico Collins. I think that they're great players and that they can carry me. And in the past I haven't had that until I've been able to get a few trades to get those top guys on my team. So starting the season with them is a sick feeling.
Yeah, I love that. Derrick Henry was definitely one of the guys I was targeting too. And we're probably not going to touch on that video later on in the podcast, but Derrick Henry is definitely one of those guys who everybody knows he's a freak. He's one of one. He's the king for a reason. And having that guy on your roster behind a good offensive line on one of the best offenses in the league, it's got to be a good feeling. And we obviously know what Nico can do. So yeah, it's got to be a different feeling looking down at that roster, having those two studs on your squad and not having a Ken roster to look at and wonder what you got to do with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as much as you talk about me not drafting, the last few years I've had to be involved in a lot of trade talks and trying to get people to trade with me. And it's not always the funnest. People don't want to give up their star guys for a couple guys that perform on a weekly basis, but just don't have the super go off potential. So good luck with that this year. You're gonna, at some point, I'm assuming, gonna have to make some moves and trade away some of that depth to get some of those bigger names.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely hoping to just everybody hits and it's a monster, so there's no need for me to trade anybody, right? But obviously that's probably not going to happen. And as much as my inquisition into Thomas's supremacy in the league, I think has put a little bit of spotlight on him. I think it's probably also safe to say that I've also drugged myself equally into the spotlight, if not a little bit more. I've definitely got some icy vibes from Brendan already, throwing out some trades on day zero.
Yeah, got to trade with him first, right?
Yeah, he was pretty quick to shut me down on that. So we've yet to touch base. I know he got home safe, and that's all that really matters to me. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be out there in these trade streets. Try not to go too crazy this year, but just to kick us off on the personal note, Japan, Luker, obviously, you've been out here for upwards of a decade now. For the folks back home, what city do you feel most at home in Japan?
Yeah, so like you said, this is actually my 12th season in Japan. So I've been here 11 years. Started my 12th year. It's really hard to say because I moved around so much in Japan. I tend to feel more at home whatever city I'm in at the time after I get comfortable, and moving around in that city, it like kind of becomes the home. And when you're not in the biggest city, when you go back to a big city like that, it kind of, everything has changed since the last time you've been there. So it's like, wow, like I was this here 2 years ago and now I don't know what street is what anymore. All these shops have changed.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say I'm the most comfortable in Tokyo just because I've been here the longest, but I don't know if that feels like home anymore. So we'll see.
And when you say Tokyo, are you talking about like Tachikawa, or are you just talking about like Tokyo proper, the whole damn thing?
See, that's the other thing. Tokyo's so big, so I've lived like 4 or 5 different places in Tokyo that are hours away from each other on the train. So yeah, I don't know where I'm in Tokyo, but I'm comfortable moving around Tokyo for sure.
Got it. So dialing in maybe with a spotlight on you, Luker, give us a favorite career memory out there on and off the court.
Favorite career memory on the court was about 4 years ago. I was able to win the championship and move my team up from the second division to the first division. That was an amazing feeling. Ending a season in a championship is, I've done like once in my 12-year career in Japan. That's counting 5-on-5 basketball. 3-on-3 is a different story, but yeah, it's a great feeling, and a feeling that I feel like I'm gonna keep chasing until my career's over.
And what about off the court?
Off the court, I would have to say when I first got the Japanese passport. I don't know how many people in this league know that I'm a naturalized citizen of Japan. So all the work and years it took for me to get that could be a whole podcast on its own. But like the feeling of getting that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, what was that what was that district you went to when you're getting your lessons? Oh shit, we went out
Rapungi.
that one night. Rapungi, that's it. Yeah, you went out in Rapungi and you were setting up for it was like years, wasn't it, Liquor?
Oh yeah, I think you have to be here 5 years to even apply, and
Yeah.
I think after my third years, when I was like, this might be an option, I need to start studying, and yeah, and then I don't think I got it until like my 7th year or something like that in Japan. So
Yeah. And an even bigger change than changing your citizenship, you changed your marriage status to married, Luker. How is it having Naomi out there for the first time? I mean, not first time this year, but just in general when she came out there for the first time. How has that changed your life?
I mean, it's made it 100 times better. Having her out here with me like takes such a big load off my plate of things that I have to do. Allows me to lock in more on my job of playing basketball and getting my body ready. She keeps the house, well, first of all, makes the house a home in general. Just with if you could see the difference between the first house that you came into and Kagoshima to what we're living in now, it's just night and day. But yeah, with just she's been amazing, just on top of our meals, making sure we're eating right, eating whole grain foods, like nutritious meals, everything's organic. It's been great.
Love it, Luker. And the last thing that I was thinking about when I was writing this up is I remember you wanted to get like a passport or something that will like showed all the countries you've been to. Is that still a tattoo that you've got lined up in the future at some point?
I think it's changed a little bit, but I mean, I do have a full arm sleeve of pretty much Japan, besides my brother's name. So that has been definitely just, I mean, Japan's been where I've lived my whole adult life. So it's like feels fitting to have that. But yeah, there's definitely more tattoos in the future. And I still do want that passport tattoo. Still trying to think of where and how it's going to be.
Yeah, because I think it is probably far back enough that it wasn't like a certainty that you're going to be in Japan forever, right? And so that the idea was that you might have, popped around the globe a little bit more. But yeah, obviously with 12 years in Japan, you've already got the ink to tell that story. So I'm interested to see how that evolves. And one thing that is no longer have the ability to evolve is the draft, because it's set in stone. It's been recorded. It's been posted on YouTube. What was your personal favorite moment of this draft, Luker?
My personal favorite moment, I think, it has to be getting my top 2 guys. I did a lot of mock drafts preparing for the draft, and just keeping in mind of the overspending that had been done in this league, I thought there's no chance I get either of those guys.
Okay.
And so being able to get Nico, and then I was sitting there like, I have $45 left in my budget for these top 2 guys, and it was actually 40, but I ended up getting them for 45. It's like, I'll go up to 45, and I was able to get them for 45. So having those 2 guys as the centerpiece was the high for my draft.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, those were your top 2 targets, and you got them. There was nobody
actually,
above those guys for you.
There was nobody of those guys I had on my list. I won't put it up again because it doesn't show, but I had a list of wide receivers, and it was Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and Drake London. And then my list of running backs was Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Chase Brown is the running backs that I wanted. And both of those guys were my number ones, and I was able to get both of them.
Love it, man. And I would say that I'll get into my kind of things I wish I would have changed about my draft a little bit later on, but just to cozy up next to you on the favorite moments, mine was actually watching Brendan and Hunter drop some hammer big bids. I was I felt like I was going to be the only one that was kind of price enforcing that like 50-80% bids up, right? Like I was pretty consistently putting 20, 30, 40, bids out there early on just to kind of keep people honest with things. But seeing Hunter a couple times as I'm trying to go type stuff in, right? Hunter just bang hits with like a 40, 45 burger. And then Brendan every once in a while just comes way over the top on something. And there's been, years past where, B's kind of just gone up on an island and kind of gets caught with his pants down, but there was none of that this year. And I felt like everybody was very sharp. People had a very good pulse on what was going on. And I was very excited to have Brendan and Hunter in there just slamming cash around. It was really fun for me to watch. I know you touched on your strategy a little bit about kind of grabbing your guys. And I also am hearing you that you executed. How do you feel like the back half of your draft went?
So the back half got a little squirrely on me, but just in terms of I think I saved more money than I needed at the end of the draft, and I wish I spent on a couple more guys in that like $15 to $20 range and just kind of left 2 or 3 $1 guys on the bench that are not going to be there anyways. So I think that's the only thing. I'm trying to think of guys that come to mind, and just looking on my list of people like I didn't get was like the Tony Pollard one. I think hurts the most because I would love to have that guy in my flex right now. And I think, well, we're going to talk about Devontae Adams later, but I was very high on him as well.
Yeah, I hear you, and I'm right there with you. Josh Jacobs was one of my targets, and that was my biggest regret of the draft. Rewatching the first time through, it was kind of nice to be able to see that when I was rewatching it from a slightly more third person perspective, that I had that same gut feeling, right? When I see my cursor move off Josh Jacobs, I was like, what are you doing, idiot? I'm like banging on the glass, like, hey man, like keep bidding him up, right? And I think that's probably a pretty common regret that a lot of us have, is getting that one more guy. And then I think if we get to it too, right, that Tony Pollard, I was in there too. And I think Hunter got him. And now I'm going to be facing him week 1. And with Tajay Spears out, he's probably going to get off to a pretty hot start. And so, yeah, another one of those guys where I wish I could have got a little bit, just I don't know what I'll saving myself for. So on that note, I do want to make a minor announcement that the best draft vote is complete, and I'll be getting those results out here on a Saturday email. But what I can tell everybody now is that you're looking at the only 2 managers to receive exactly 0 votes from the league. So
let's go,
Luke. With the knowledge that you and I have caught gooses each, how do you feel about that?
Well, not the greatest feeling, but like I said earlier, is just everyone's team looks so good right now, and the way fantasy football goes is that's just not the way it is once the season starts. So I'd rather get the 0 votes now and get a lot of votes later on.
Yeah, I hear you. And that first 4 weeks, right? You got to be agile. You got to be willing to move. And I know we talked earlier, getting a little bit of prep in for this podcast session. And I know that you haven't listened to Tom and Sam's podcast, but I've watched it, and they went through every manager's draft and kind of broke down their squad. And they had a very similar take to you, that every squad looked kind of scary depending on how you looked at it. I almost felt like my team, again, I don't know if it's just me putting the lens on myself, was kind of the exception in the podcast, right? Because they seemed pretty like, seems pretty lukewarm. I think Ken really got his guys, but I think that there was a little bit more behind it. And obviously the votes speak pretty loudly. So I'm probably still feeling great about my draft. But it's one of those things that I could just be doubling down with my head in the sand, right? And at the same time, I could spin you a story about how every single one of my players is going to be a top guy. But again, week one, we're going to find out real quick here. So taking a deep dive into the actual replay for the first time, we're going to see if we can sneak a section of the draft onto the podcast. I'm going to just list out some important moments that we have, and then we're going to give it a go on Devontae and see how that goes. And if it works, we'll keep rolling with it. And if not, we'll just eject and move on to the couch. So early on, we had Kittle, we got Jetta, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Bowers, just, a little bit of proxy enforcement with Casey and Tom, making sure that he was paying top dollar for the guys that he got. And then Devontae, Tony Pollard. And then I've got the Ben V. Hunter fireworks towards the end of the draft, which we're definitely not going to play because rewatching that, it took about 5 minutes, those guys getting every second out of their damn bid. Was fun live, but watching it back is a little less fun. So I'm going to click the link on good old Devontae Adams and see if my audio doesn't just immediately drop out of this. And I think I'm going to comment over the top of it as I'm getting myself to full screen, which is definitely not going to work. And then I'm going to go back to our podcast screen here. I'm just going to go do my entire screen and share here. And let's hope to God this thing works. Can you see my screen, Looker?
Yes. Not the most clear, but I can see it.
This thing clears up a little bit here as we get into this a little bit more. Oh, it's going to keep. All right, let's see if this thing resolves for us a little bit. Okay, every time I talk, it's stopping. So, all right. We saw there real quick in super blurry, and that was an absolute fail, that Ken slammed from a $6 bid up to a $20 bid, which I think was the only instance that we had in the the only instance in the draft where we had somebody pop up a huge bid and then it just sit and stay. Where were you at with Devontae Adams? What was your upper value for him?
So I was high on him, and I kind of had him. For me, he was him and like Mike Evans in the $20 to $30 range.
Okay.
And we're talking about it a little bit earlier off the podcast, but when I was doing my mock drafts, I wasn't able to get my top guys. So I found myself dropping down, and then I was getting the Devontae Adams and the Mike Evanses and those guys. And I was really happy with those teams as well. Just a lot deeper, a lot more like a Dom drafted team. So seeing him sit at 20 and me in all my mock drafts willing to go up to 30 for him would just hurt. Like, because I'm really high on him. I think Puka's injury prone, and I think Devontae's a great receiver. I've had him in the past, and he killed at the end of last year, and he has no signs of slowing down. Stafford's a sick quarterback, assuming that his back's all right. So, I was not happy not being able to bid 21, 25, 30, bid him up with you. But I felt like at that time I just couldn't spend the money anymore. I needed to wait.
Yeah. And that's my sense looking back on it as well, is that I think that I had sat on enough money that I was still willing to throw around bigger chunks at that point. Definitely wasn't my intention. To me, I had him at 25 and I was willing to go to 30 as you were. And so I just figured I was popping the base up to 20 as let's just set the plate and see where we go. And I was flummoxed when the ticker went down all those 10 seconds. And I was just like, all right, I'll take him. Because my sources they have him as co-equal to Puka, right? That if you're going to look at those two wide receivers, Puka's got the youth, but Devontae's got the better route tree. He's the better, more experienced wide receiver. Like you're saying, Stafford's got a cannon of an arm. He's an elite passer when it comes to that. We'll see what happens with his back. They definitely, I've heard things like, holy Lord, what is it when you you get the spinal injections like when you're giving birth.
Oh, epidurals.
Epidurals, right? That he might be getting epidurals every week this year, and so it's just like you don't. Again, like these guys do crazy things, to perform, and medical science. I can speak from personal experience that those epidurals are medical grade fentanyl, right? At least the ones that I've been around, and so if anything, I think that's going to loosen up Stafford's game, right? And so I'm kind of looking forward to see what Devontae does with that arm, and Puka distracting coverage from him. So I was super stoked to get him for $20. Is there any other players you want to touch on in your draft before we move on to some couch topics?
No, I'm good.
All right, so Bill, Jacory Krosky-Merritt, are we buying the preseason hype, or are we all collectively over our skis with this guy, Luker?
Well, for my sake, I hope you guys are all over your skis, because I don't know if you've noticed, but later on today, all the guys back home were sleeping. Eckler might have slid into that flex spot for me.
Ooh.
And I don't know if he's there yet. I have 3 guys that I'm thinking about putting there, but to answer your question, I hope that guy's a rookie and he is not going to steal. He's going to let Eckler do his thing.
No, I hear you, man. The late round running backs have a terrible hit rate historically. It's really just Isaiah Pacheco and Philip Lindsay in recent memory, and even those guys aren't particularly league-winning studs, right? Philip Lindsay gave you some serviceable years. Isaiah Pacheco obviously has given you some serviceable. Can't even say full years because he's had the injuries, right? So with that limited upside, I'm right there with you with Eckler. I think that Eckler had some injuries last year, and he's the veteran, and he's going to get his body right no matter what in the offseason, because he's got that kind of late round superstar hit rate himself, right? And I think that's a viable flex for you there. Let's say looking at their running situation, I know we touched on Chris Rodriguez, and he wasn't necessarily a huge name on your list. And Jeremy McNichols was the other guy that I was having a hard time thinking of. And then we got Jaden Daniels himself. Are you worried about having 4 potentially viable runners with Bill, Eck, Rodriguez, Jeremy Nichols, and excuse me, that's 5, Jaden Daniels. That's 5 guys that might be running the ball.
I mean, like you said, low hit rate. I think I got Eckler for $3, so it's not the end of the world if he doesn't pan out. But with his experience and his pass catching ability, and I think Jaden Daniels is sick. I hope he has a sophomore slump just because I'm an Eagles fan. But he's so calm, cool, and collective out there. Like, as what he did last year was like mind blowing to me, like coming in as a rookie and just being that composed, like nothing seemed to affect him. So I don't know which way that goes, but I hope Eckler's able to put up some solid performances for me.
You think Eckler's putting on the old VR headset like Jaden Daniels was preseason? Did you hear that story, Luker?
Yeah, I did hear that story. I mean, if it works, why not? Maybe you can see see some holes, connect with Jaden Daniels, and get some nice little out routes.
Yeah, I can see it. He's on the cutting edge of stuff. He's a fantasy football guy, which is rare, and I could definitely see him throwing that headset on and taking over. So I'm there with you, Luker. I think it was a savvy pick, taking Eck for $3. You took a shot and got a cheap piece of that backfield, and we're about to find out how it's going to roll out. Another thing that we're going to find out here pretty early, as it is 8:30 our time, roughly 9:30 yours, that we've got the Chargers Chiefs games coming up later today. Travis Kelce, how cooked is he, Luker?
I don't know if it's because I'm a Travis Kelce fan, just because of like his podcast and like his superstardom, but I don't feel, or maybe just being older now and being more of a veteran and playing professional sports, like I believe like you can have a good off season and get like locked in, get focused. He seems like he dropped weight, like seems like a pretty motivated guy. Like he hears all the doubt and everyone talking about he's over the hill, like he's not good anymore. He's like Taylor Swift, like he's doing concerts, he's not focused, all that. And I could see him locking in and having a great season, in my opinion.
Yeah. The elite of elite tight end class is a very small group of people, and they tend to age extremely well. And so him having an off year, whether it was, like a contract obligation he had with Swifty or whatever it was, right? I could see that for sure. Another thing, just kind of taking a zoom in on some Kansas City focused details, their rookie left tackle, Josh Simmons, who also has is recovering from a torn patellar tendon, which is the same knee injury that our left tackle, Rashawn Slater, suffered, is going to be playing this game. And he's expected to be a stud. And from all the preseason hype, it looks like he's been a monster so far. And so the Charger in me wants to see him do really well, because it's giving us some hope for Slater in the future, right? Do you feel like the offensive line play, Mahomes, is he in that same kind of Kelsey mindset as you've put out there? How do these things factor into Kelsey's performance for you?
I mean, I think losing that big game and having an off season like that motivation could really help those guys. But I mean, they're two of the best to ever do it. Like those type of guys have a different mentality and a different type of motivation. They don't need probably the outside noise or anything. I think I'm high on Mahomes. I don't know if he's gonna have a great year, but I don't think that doesn't make him like the best quarterback in the world. Like he's had to, in my opinion, adapt to the situation, and he went from having the high flying offense to I got to do whatever I can do to win, and he's able to do that too. So I think that just speaks to how good he is. As far as the offensive line and that guy coming back from injury, sports-wise, I think surgeries and doctors have gotten so much better. Technology's gotten so much better. So I think guys have great chances to come back from significant injuries like that and get back to their normal self.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I think for me, Kobe, was it his Achilles that he got repaired super fast, right? Or was it his knee that something happened? But like he flew over to Germany, got it fixed up, and he was like way faster back. And that was like 10, 15 years ago, right? And nowadays, the recovery times are even faster. And so on that note, just as like a sidestep, I'm definitely on the opposite side. I think most people are on Rashee Rice, having seen the injury last year. And then again, my source is that anytime you tear a tendon, you're severing the nerve connection in the tendon, right? And so even though the ability to reattach it, medically speaking, is there, that the nerve just takes time to rebuild that connection, right? And so for these elite guys, they can run in shorts and look amazing all day long. But as soon as you start throwing contact onto that body, that's when the injury really starts to show how well it's been recovered from, right? And so as much as I'm hopeful for the left tackle, I'm definitely way off on Rashee Rice this year. And maybe as an athlete yourself, Luker, when you're coming off of an injury, do you feel like you maintain your overall game? And does the contact play into how that injury affects your season?
Well, like obviously, depending on injuries, is different. But yeah, when you have to sit out and can't do anything for a long time, you're not going to be yourself right when you get back. Like you're going to have to get back into shape, play into shape, and then there's always a difference between practice and stuff like that than getting into a game. The only real major injury I've had is I fractured a finger like 2 years ago, and I was out for 2 months, and that was right in the beginning of the preseason, right before the regular season started. And because it was a hand, I was able to like just get locked in the weight room and get like my lower body right. But still, when I came back, like I'm not in game shape. Like it takes time, and it was like a little worrisome, like of my hand. And I don't think I felt super comfortable until like the first time, like someone threw a pass, I stuck my hand out, the ball smacked my hand, and I realized, oh, my hand's fine. Like it's healed. Like I don't need to worry about this anymore. So yeah, there's mental stuff with injuries as well.
I appreciate that insight, Luker. So, I mean, again, for you catching it past the hand or Rashid Rice, the next time he takes a knee or a helmet to the knee, right? Like, what's going going through his head, right? Because, I mean, again, I'm a big believer that basketball is a contact sport, but like football, you have
Football's a different level for sure.
Yeah, surgically repaired knee, getting tackled by dudes, they're, as powerful as trucks. I'm gonna kind of fade those guys a little bit. So moving on. Let's yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask, like he's also suspended, right? So
yeah,
what does like that mean? Like he's allowed to be on the practice squad practicing, or is that you're not in the locker room? What does that mean?
Yeah, so as far as I understand it, he's got the 6-game suspension, which again, in theory, I think a lot of people are reading as is helpful, right? He's got that additional buffer from the injury. But again, my point is none of that really matters until he starts taking contact, right? He could have taken a 6-game or 11-game suspension. To me, it doesn't make a difference outside of the amount of games he plays. And then I believe that he's able to be part of all like team functions outside of like playing. But I could be totally wrong on that. I'm pretty much make everything up as I'm going right now, Luke here. So don't trust the thing I just said. But I'm sure somebody, will correct me, hopefully. So another theme that I think has kind of been popping up for us is reacting to new information, and particularly in the early weeks, 1 to 3, maybe 4. What type of things are you looking for to take that sort of decisive action early in the season, Looker?
As far as me, I know obviously you've been making a big deal of it, me not being that active. And this is the first year where I kind of feel like I'm definitely going to need to be active because I don't know how these bottom of my bench guys are going to work. I have been looking at people's teams for potential trades, but I know trades take time and maybe some people aren't willing to trade right now because they want to see how their guys line up. They think they're the best. That's why they drafted them. So yeah, definitely staying ready. I want to look at the wire and see if I can't snag somebody and throw around some of that fab that I have not spent in the past.
And when you're looking at the fab, are you just looking for like points scored, or are you looking at like target share, or are you looking for like injuries, or like what's the key determining factor for you on where you're going to be dropping your fab?
I mean, I think it could be a mix of all those things. Like, if it's like a second, like a backup running back, and the starter goes down, and all of a sudden he's going to get all those touches, like that's obviously a great opportunity. And then, as far as wide receivers, if that guy is already getting some targets and for whatever, it just seems like this quarterback's more comfortable with this guy this year. He's getting high percentages of the shares of targets. Then why not go after that guy and spend a little bit just to see what happens?
Yeah, love it. I mean, it's a unique thing, right? We're playing a small sample size sport. And so there's only so much you can look at the data that's going to tell you what's going to happen next week, right? I think that, again, that's kind of one of the beauties of Brendan's game is he plays a very week-to-week game. And in that sense that he doesn't try and predict the future, right? That I would say that, again, in my rankings, those guys that are like in and around that level that I had with B have the opposite with him, that they kind of believe that they can be predicting the future, right? And end up just not making moves, and you don't find out if you don't do anything. So there's a lot of room to grow there, Luker. From the count them on your fingers on one hand moves you made last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you got for us this year.
Yeah, but on that same sense is like you have a similar team to like what a Dom team would draft. And do you feel like one of your bottom guys, like, do you get rid of him for some potential on the wire when you know that guy is most likely going to average a solid, like he's a solid starter. Like you don't
No,
mind putting that guy in your flex. Like it's hard to say, oh, this guy might be good for a couple weeks. I'm going to drop this guy to get this potential guy for the next 2 weeks.
no, that's super valid question, and that's definitely one of those contributing factors to why I was kicking myself I didn't spend up more for Josh Jacobs, because I do have too deep of a bench, right? And so I'm looking at it, and then especially that first day or two, everybody is undroppable for me, right? And that's a problem because I don't have bench space to be rotating through some guys. But thankfully, I was able to let go. That Will Shipley is just a backup running back, right? And there's no, yes, he might be the backup to the best running back situation in the league, but again, outside of Saquon going down, there's no real value there, right? So he got dropped today. Your boy Kenny picked up Kansas City's rookie running back, right? And I'm going to be cycling through these running backs on a day or a game by game basis just to make sure that at least that one bottom spot is turning. And then another piece to that, to answer your question about how to handle this type of roster, is to be flexible in the trade market, right? I think that one of the things that Tom will never do is take a negative EV trade, that he will at the very least take like a 55-45 in his favor. But I can't think a single trade that he's ever made where he didn't get the best of what that current situation was. And that doesn't mean that like the other team situation wasn't better, right? Because that's always a selling point for him, right? It's like, oh, well, look, their team is better. Like, well, yes, that's true, but two things can be true at once, right? You got the best of the trade overall, and you helped them, make that one that 1 week better, right? And so with me, I am a little bit more frisky in the trade streets than the average bear. I would say that, again, like Brendan, Sam, and I are up there as far as, making some trades, and then, they get weird. And so I've been saying pretty vocally, I think already, that I want to be able to be movable on any of these guys, right? That if somebody hits or even somebody doesn't hit, right? Tyreek Hill is like the perfect example for me, right? I didn't want him, but $20 was too much of a value for me not to take him. And so even if he's just like, like a wide receiver for value, right? If there's some guy who, I think might have just a smidge of upside, and Tyreek Hill, like somebody views him as like a wide receiver 3, I need to move him, right? And not try and like hold on to him as if he's like a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside, right? And so it's on me to be flexible to kind of get out of this, right? But again, kind of back to some earlier points, I'm not sure if that's going to happen since I've drawn the spotlight so much onto myself, while also trying to drag Tom down with me. So we'll see. That took a little chunk of time, Luker. So we're going to move it on to Field or Fuck It and keep this nice and tight, if that works for you.
Yeah.
All right, Field or Fuck It, Luker. Does Terry's holdout affect his start? More likely to get injured without getting the body right in the preseason?
Feel it. Not necessarily with the injury, but I think it affects his start.
All right. Would you rather have Cortland Sutton or Scary Terry?
Cortland Sutton.
Got it. That was a terrible question by me. You can't really feel or fuck that. Keon Coleman going to be the number 1 target in Buffalo's this year.
Feel it.
Is Dalton Kincaid's career over in Buffalo?
Fuck it.
All right. Malik Washington, a threat to break out in Miami this year? Speaking of Hill.
F it.
All right. And can Mike McDaniel keep the offense humming and keep his job this year?
F it.
F it. All right. So does that mean, all right, I'm going to skip that one too, because that's just an either or. RJ Harvey, worthy of the preseason buzz, capable receiving back behind JK?
Feel it.
Love it. Caleb Johnson, better than his preseason buzz?
I think he's better than his preseason buzz, yes. I don't know if that's feel it. Feel it?
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go feel it, all right. Amari and Hampton went too high in our draft.
F it.
All right. Marvin Mims is going to be the wide receiver too in Denver, and if he is, doesn't even matter.
I think he will be, and no, I don't think it matters.
Okay, Chiefs are going vertical on the league this year. Field or fuck it.
F it.
Don't do it to me, Liquor. That's not what my Xavier Worthy stock wants to hear. Caleb Williams is going to take a big step forward in year 2 under Ben Johnson.
Feel it.
All right, are we going to see that 4,000 yard passer in Chicago then, Luker?
Feel it.
Love it. Skylar Thompson is beating out Mason Rudolph for the backup position behind Ayahuasca Aaron.
Since I don't know who that is, F it.
All right. Isaac Tesla, is he overhyped?
Feel it.
Feel it. Your Eckler stock might answer this question. Chris Rodriguez Jr. has legitimate fantasy value.
F it.
Mason Taylor is going to lead rookie tight ends and targets this year.
F it.
Take that, Graham. All right, Luker. And we got one special segment. We're going to look at your bench and see if you can name the team that they're on. Roma Dunze, what team does he play for?
Chicago.
Nick Chubb.
Houston.
Eyes up here, Luker. Khalil Shakir, what team does he play for?
Buffalo.
Caleb Johnson, what team does he play for?
Pittsburgh.
Jay Ferguson, what position does he play?
I didn't. He's shitty. He's getting dropped today.
All right. CJ Stroud, what team?
Houston.
Let's go, Luker. Bang that out. We're looking less and less leper-like and a little bit more like we got some upside there, Luker. I appreciate you feeling it or fucking with me today. We've had a couple touch points here on the topic that we've started out the podcast on, health. You've talked a little bit about how Naomi has balanced out your diet at home. We've talked about how that injury awareness affects your career. Health, Luker, what does that word mean to you today?
Well, I think you said it perfectly to me the other day in a text that health is wealth. Especially for me. That's how I make my money, is by being healthy. So like I said earlier with my wife and how she feeds us, and she also is on making sure we get the right supplements to keep us healthy. I think all those things are super important. So that goes along with obviously the exercise side and keeping your body ready to go with treatment and things like that. Yeah, definitely. I would say what you eat, what you consume is huge. And
so sleep. You feel like, sleep. That's a good one. We'll touch on that one next because I got 2.5 hours of sleep last night, even though I'm coming off of sickness. So we'll circle back on that one. But again, we've known each other for a long time, Luker, and so I'm going to try and take this into a multi-part thing. But I don't know what kind of stuff Naomi is cooking up for you. I know that she's a very clean eater. But the transitions of how you change the way you eat, are those slow transitions for you, or are they kind of just like overnight she just bang hits you with like a new thing? Because I mean, I know obviously you're either in Japan or you're home, right? So is it like, are you just immediately overnight flipping your diet, or how has your diet, like when you do change, is it like a fast change or is it a gradual thing?
So I think the biggest thing with me would be like if I'm by myself and I'm going to be too lazy to cook, I'm going to eat bad things because I'm going to order Uber Eats or I'm going to go out to eat somewhere. So when you eat at home and you can control what you're consuming, that was never the problem. It was the problem of just having the energy or desire to do that. And then in that sense, we do eat super clean, but I mean, food is amazing out here in Japan, so we definitely go out and have some great cheat meals, we call them,
Yeah.
as the world would say. And same thing, obviously, when we go back home, it's it's a lot harder to rein it in,
Yeah.
especially out of season as well. But it's definitely a focus to, yes, we're gonna enjoy sometimes, but we gotta lock it in.
All right. And my next thought that I was going with this one is that a lot of our diet's set by our folks, right? Growing up, that whatever you eat at home is generally kind of like what you expect is that baseline, right? And so I don't know if your mom was always a healthy eater, but she seemed to be a pretty darn healthy eater as long as I've known you. And I definitely know that it has rubbed off a little bit on old Jimbo, right? That he's a mean green popcorn machine, when it comes to that like late night snack, right? And there's probably nothing, better as far as like healthy snack at night goes, right? And so how's your mom's cooking / dietary needs influenced your own diet?
I would say definitely growing up, we ate pretty well. But also there's just like building on, I think there's only so much knowledge you have, like when we're growing up, and they did as good as they could. But like when you put some effort in all the information that's out there now on what we should be consuming and how we should be changing up what we're eating as well. Like I feel like growing up, we ate pretty good, but it was like the same like 5 meals or like 5-7 meals that just got cycled through.
Yeah, 100%. And I was going to go back to like my childhood, right? Like we had a very set menu where we kind of rolled through the same types of dishes, right? And you might have like, mixed and matched proteins and veggies or whatever, right? But it was pretty much the same thing kind of cycling through. And that's definitely been like a topic of conversation since we've been out here, right? Between Mel and I talking about, because part of the motivation of being out here in Taiwan is to get her paperwork started to open up a window for us to potentially move out here as a family and get her and the kids naturalized, which would eventually open up a pathway for me. But just the food is a huge difference here. And, having spent a few weeks in Japan with you and Sam, that there is like a wild difference in the quality and availability of food, right? In Asia, I would say, right? As somebody who's also spent just a tiny bit of time in China, and then I've got people there that I know well, and how they eat, right? And one of the things out here is like we were eating this rice porridge, right? And it had just these little tiny bits of green onions, and just these little tiny slices of green onions had so much flavor in them that like I would have had to have eaten like an entire, stalk of green onions back home to even like get close to the flavor this one little tiny piece had, right? And so like maybe taking it back to Naomi's cooking, or like when you guys like get your groceries in Japan, do you just feel like you're eating so much healthier just because you're eating in Japan?
I think that does have to do with it. And I just also like back home, it just doesn't. I mean, it's obvious that we're being lied to about what we're consuming. Like, there's no way, like,
like hashtag capitalism.
Yeah. So it's just, which is sad, because if you think you're getting something that's good for you, but really there's no nutrients in it because it's been mass produced, like I mean, it is what it is, but it's a sad thing. So you got to find your way around that.
Yeah. And one of the ways that we've been trying to find a way around it is hitting the farmers market, which up in like Vancouver, Portland area where we're at, right, is like a pretty easy thing to get to just because there's so many of them, right? And one of the things that I've been talking to Graham about is that I forget what it's called, but there's like they call it like farm share or something like that, right? Like where you have these like local farmers that need funding to like do their stuff, right? So you buy like a share of their crop ahead of season. So you pay them like $500, like $1,000 ahead of time, and then they give you like a bunch of stuff, like once a month or whatever it is, right? And
that's
like
cool.
Mel and I have been like really big into trying to like look up on that stuff, right? Because it's like just the difference between like the carrot you get at Albertsons, right, as opposed to like the carrot you get out here, right? It's night and day difference. Like, and you just know that damn carrot in Albertsons came from some wacky farm, 3,000 miles away, and has seen that many chemicals, applied to it as well, right? Whereas like I'm pretty sure if my Mandarin was better, I could ask the damn guy like where he got the carrot from, and he'd be like, oh yeah, it was probably, like my uncle Bill, pulled it out of the earth like 48 hours ago, right? And it came from, like that hill over there, right? So when have you guys gotten that far to like, or thinking about, what you're going to do long term for food when you get back home, or you just kind of figure it out at some point in the future?
I mean, when we get back home, a lot of the stuff we get is usually from like a Sprouts or a Trader Joe's, and try to get everything organic. But I mean,
Yeah.
Still to that point is you don't know what you're really getting.
All right.
And it tends to be quite a lot more expensive. So you just,
yeah.
But at least for us, like in our family, that's a priority for us.
Yeah, same. Health is wealth. And so like we look at the cost of like all of the food and stuff, right? And it's like, if you're going to eat, you might as well eat good stuff, right? And it's ultimately going to contribute to your health in the long term, right? So it's kind of like an insurance in that sense too, right? So they didn't want to lose that sleep hook before it's completely out of my mind. And another thing that kind of connects to the Asian travel, which I know you can relate to, Luker, is the immigrant community is no stranger to the extra luggage, right, that you bring along on the journey just to bring all the shit you can't get back home, right? And I get probably won't be a surprise to anybody that the two things you asked me the time that I came back for was hot Cheetos, and then it was like the NyQuil or whatever it was, right? Do I have that right?
Probably.
And oh Lord, am I gonna have a cough attack at the end of this thing? Okay, I'm gonna try and get this out. So back to the sleep, Luker. How has your sleep hygiene changed over the years from the years where Ken's hauling the extra strength ZZZ NyQuil to Luker, and what does your sleep routine look like today?
Oh, I mean, we are usually in bed about 9:15 and asleep before 10. I get up at 7 every morning. So that's about 9 hours. And that's just one of those things, like, especially with my job and how much energy I exert in practice and training and all those things, that I don't like, I just need the extra sleep. I need my body to recover. I mean, a lot of studies show like sleep is when your body recovers the best. So just as far as taking the whole health is wealth and eating the right things, sleep is right up there with that.
Yeah, I would take it even one step further, Luker. The stuff that I've read recently says that sleep is the number one important thing for your health. That if you're going to do anything to change your lifestyle at all, it's sleep. That, like, I forget whatever it is, but it's like every 15 or 30 minutes of sleep that you get off of like what your natural circadian rhythm is like, X amount of like hours on the treadmill or whatever it is, right? That like you just can't make up what your body does naturally in sleep, right? And I think again, not to go too deep down like on the sleep topic, but and especially since I'm not, at least on this trip, doing great with sleep, partly just because of the flu and I don't know, the flu or the virus, whatever I had going on, but and the time change and all the other madness that's happened last month. But consistency was a big part of my life before all of the stuff got kicked up. And so for you have a consistent huge change at least twice a year, right, where you're going back and forth to these places. So maybe as like a final parting shot for the people, Luker, as an experienced international traveler and a person who appreciates their sleep health, what's your go-to secret besides taking business class when it comes to doing international travel?
Oh, for sure. Number one, take business class. Get those credit card points up and make it work because it's 100% worth it. But the biggest thing for me with jet lag is someone taught me this. I think I actually was on a trip to Taiwan with a basketball team, and I learned this on this trip was when we got there, the coach did not let us go to sleep. We went straight into like a gym, and like there was a pool, and he had us like go swimming and like get some shots up, and then like we took a bus and we went to dinner, and no one was allowed to sleep on the bus. And I think we made it to like 9 o'clock and everyone went to sleep, but because you were so drained, like you made it to that time change, you can almost deal with the time change in one day. You sleep that night and you sleep from 9 to like 6 or 7 a.m. and you're pretty much good to go. But on the other turn, if you let yourself fall asleep at 7 and you wake up at or 8 and you wake up at 4, it's gonna be a few days to get that jet lag out of there.
All right, people, you heard it here first. I hope that is a nice little nugget to help everybody come visit Luker because he's set up in Chiba now. And from what I've heard, it's an easy place to get to from Tokyo. So I hope anybody who hasn't seen him gets to see him. We weren't able to connect on this trip, partly just due to the wild nature of us being out here last minute, but Luker, I hope the last Japan trip that Sam and I took so many years ago was not the last time I see you out there. I'd love to be able to see you play one more time. You have anything else for the people, Luker, before we sign off?
No, it was an honor to be on the podcast. First time being on one of the fantasy football till death podcasts or podcast chain, whatever you want to call it, with this one getting thrown in there. So it was an honor.
Yeah.
Glad to be fully 100% back in the league and put all the doubters or people that didn't like that Dom was part of drafting, put that out of there. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast.
I love it, Luker, and the pleasure was all mine. And the pleasure and the honor was all mine. I'm looking forward to what you got for us this season, Luker, and in a universe empty or overflowing with star stuff. I'm glad to have shared this moment with you now. You are loved from here to fantasy football till death. And
right.
stop.
Love you too.